template. You were using the template to explain. I was trying to
Okay.
follow up from here.
So let me
Yeah,
let
we're
me
back
share
now.
my.
Let me just stop this one. Yeah, share your screen.
So yeah, so like I was explaining, right? So you need to then put all these salaries, whether you're doing this for the session. If you're doing it for the session, it means everything has to be for the session. Your tuition, you estimate the total tuition for the session. That is, you need to then be realistic as to how much of that tuition will actually come in from your experience. How much of it will you be able to collect? All right, levies, if you have some levies that parents pay, um, donations, grants, and other incomes like the income from selling of stationaries, school uniforms, and so on and so forth. Then your operating expenses, your salaries for the session, your rent, that will be for the year, right? Your utilities, and so on and so forth. So if you're doing it also for the term, so you make everything termly, like the tuition and the rest of them. And if you're doing it for the month, you can also do this for forecast for the month. So like I was saying, right, the higher this is, the more dangerous it becomes. So you want it as low as possible. All right. Because if it's high, if this percentage is high, it means that your cost and your income, they are like almost the same, which is very dangerous. All right. So you want it as low as possible. You want it as low as possible. So let's continue the presentation. Okay. The second section is how to master your school cash flow, break even, and profits. So a lot of people run school businesses or even any business for that matter, and they are not making profits, but they are not aware that they are not profitable. So you need to factor in your profit from the beginning. You need to monitor your cash flow. All right. So what is cash flow? What do we call cash flow in business, especially in school business? All right. Cash flow is different from revenue. Cash flow is different from profits. All right. So what is revenue, first of all? Your revenue your is the money that your company is supposed or assumed to earn. So you have 10 students. Your tuition is 100K per student for every term. It means your revenue for that term is 1 million naira. That is your revenue. All right. Your revenue is 1 million naira for that term because as soon as a student registers for that term, you bill their parents maybe by invoice or whatever. You say your kids is supposed to pay 100K for this term. So that is your revenue. But we all know that in business, that revenue doesn't always equal to the amount of money in your bank because some parents will not pay at all. Some of them will pay half. Some of them will pay maybe one third or even one quarter of that school fees that you billed them, of that your supposed revenue. So the amount that you are able to collect gongon, regardless of how much you bill them, is what is your cash or what is called your cash flow. The amount your hand can touch like this, whether they pay you in cash, it doesn't mean that because it's cash flow, that's to be cash that you will be counted like this. If they pay it to your bank too, it's still your cash. It's still cash flow. All right. The amount that you can touch, that you can go and withdraw in a bank, that you can transfer from your bank, that is eating your bank account like this, or they are handing it over to you. That is your cash flow. That is the most important one. So you need to be able to factor or estimate what your cash flow is as a school business owner. That's why I said school business has its own peculiarity. So for any other business, every other business too has, the receivables. That is the number customers that buy and say, I'll pay in the next 1 month, I'll pay in the next 3 months, I'll pay tomorrow, right? But for school business, it's almost there is no way you can't do without customers that will pay later because you start the session or the term without even getting paid upfront. So in most cases, they pay later. So it's important that you then be able to, number one, become as efficient as possible in collecting that your cash. You need to make sure that at least maybe 80 to 90%, if not even 100% of the parents are paying the school fees of their kids. You are collecting everything, or at least almost everything. That is number one. Number two is that you need to then monitor how your cash is going out, the route it's going out through. You need to monitor it. You need to retain your cash as much as possible. So, what the key inflows are, like I said, tuition, levies, like we discussed in the last. The key outflows are what we called costs before, right? Salaries, operational expenses, and the rest of them. So, you need to then think about ter- do you collect your money termly or monthly? All right. So for a school business, the business model of school business is very peculiar because you collect money for 3 months, but your expenses will not wait for 3 months. So, like I was saying, that some parents in my school, the kids' school, they will say, we didn't know that you need the money now. So some of them will wait till that third month before they pay you one kobo. If you like chase their kids, Jubelo, they will still come and beg you. They will grovel, they will do this, they will do that. But your own expenses will not wait for the third month or the end of the term before you have to pay salaries every month for the teachers. The teachers will not say, they've not, parents have not paid. They'll stop coming. Expenses timely, but your revenue is timely. All right, your income is timely. So you need to plan ahead that you stay liquid. You have enough money to tide you over the first month, the second month, the third month. All right. So how do you then plan your cash flow? How do you plan your cash flow? So we use the template to also demonstrate this, to demonstrate how to plan um your cash flow. So it's very similar to the one that I shared earlier. So, so you need to we'll get to that in a minute. So you also need to forecast. You need to forecast every time. You need to plan the time ahead. All right. You need to forecast. You need to do even monthly, uh, biannually, and annually. And also, you need to, if there is a shortfall, you need to have a plan for it. Okay, if the amount of income that is coming in doesn't match up to the expenses that you need to pay, how do you buffer that difference? So you need to plan for it. Um, maybe by savings, maybe by having a particular account that you don't touch except to do that buffering. And once you borrow it, once money comes in, maybe at the end of the term, you are topping up that account again. All right. So another way is maybe a credit line or um, a loan. All right. Or you have a fee collection strategy. Okay, there are schools that they outsource some part of their fee collection to maybe a third party that are very efficient at. They will follow up and disturb. So schools, a lot of schools does do is send kids home, send a letter, send a reminder via email and text, or in the school's WhatsApp group and so on and so forth. So for some schools, they employ third parties that will go and frustrate the parents until they pay. All right, because you need to collect your money. Okay, you need to collect your money. So what is break even? Break even in any business and also in school business is the minimum number of sales you need to make for you to cover your costs. That is what break even means in simple layman's terms. So in the case of a school, you're looking at how many students do we need to pay us their full tuition for this term so that it will cover all our expenses for this term. All right. So let's say you have 100 students, and you know that if at least 60 students pay their full tuition, all right, from your calculation, the cash flow and also your cost too. If 60 of the students pay fully, that income is enough to take us through the entire term. What will you do? Knowing that is powerful. You know that you're just eating at that 60. It doesn't mean that you won't collect school fees from the remaining 40, but you know that that 60 is very critical to you. A lot of schools, they don't know this. They don't know how to track that. They don't know how to track those tiny figures. That's when it's time to to pay salary, they will be saying, "Ah, there's no money in the school's bank account." When it's time to pay for some expenses, there is no money. So you need to track that your break even number. What is your break even number? The number of students you need to be able to cover your cost, not the number of students you need in the school, but the number of students fees that you need to come in. All right. If your total number of students is not enough, then you can then say we need to enroll more students. Maybe in do some aggressive marketing, go on a radio station and so on and so forth. To be able to now say, okay, we've added 50 more students to our existing 100 students. If 60% of these 150 students pay a hand, we'll be able to take care of our obligation for the term. So for a school, what does profit really mean? Profit means that you've broken even, you've taken care of that your expenses for the entire term. Whatever then comes in after that is your profit, your gross profit. All right, is your profit. So how then do you reinvest the profit in infrastructure, maybe building new blocks, training your staff, marketing. All right, schools that are marketing aggressively now, you see their ads on Facebook, maybe get a digital marketer and so on and so forth. All right. Um, so and also you need to know how to set profit goals. That okay, after how much profits do we need to make um in this term or in this session to be able to do some of these our expansion projects that we want to do. All right. So so let's look at another example very quickly. Let's look at another example to look at cash flow. Okay, so like the one I shared earlier, so you just need to like put in the all the figures for each of these categories, whether is income or uh cash income. So we are saying cash income so that you know that it is the money that you are able to hold, not okay, we have 100 students, so our total tuition is 1 million naira. No, it is the money you feel like you'll be able to hold in your hands or in your bank account. That is what really matters. Okay. So you budget, if you have some balance that you're carrying into the year, you put that here. Then you now budget for each month. All right. You budget for each month based on your experience of running your school, and also for the expenses too. You also budget for each of these months for the cash that is paid out. All right, for the cash that is paid out. So one, if you're able to do that, it will then be able to it will definitely now calculate your cash position. Your cash position is your income minus your expense. So it will tell you the beauty of cash flow is that it doesn't lie, it doesn't sugarcoat. So your profits is another thing entirely, but your cash is the money that at the end of. So if you do this calculation very well now, you might be able to figure out that, see, at the end of we might not have enough cash in January, might not have enough cash in January to take care of even salaries or some other costs. Or after we pay salary in January, we might not be able to, pay for other expenses. All right. So this is what it will show you. This will show you all that. Okay. So let me go back to the presentation. So yeah, again, this template will be shared with the participants of the class. So the last section that we're going to look at is what are the common money mistakes that school owners make? What are the common money mistakes? So number one is a lot of school owners and even a lot of business owners, they don't separate personal accounts and school accounts. All right. They just, if they want to spend personal money, they just dip hand into the school account. You use the school account ATM card. You take it to where you buy shawarma. You buy shawarma. You take it to a shopping mall to buy personal stuff. No, you need to separate both. That is how you'll be able to track everything that goes into the business account, everything that comes out of the business account. You'll be able to track it. Don't don't mix your own personal expenses with the school's expenses. Don't use the school's bank account as your own personal account. All right. Don't receive personal money into the school account. Don't receive personal money into the school account. Separate the school account from your own personal account. So the question is, okay, I'm the school owner. I will now be surviving if I'm not spending. Nobody's saying you should not spend from the school account, but add yourself as one of the staff of the school. You're the founder, you're the proprietor, you're the headmaster, headmistress. Add yourself as one of the staff. Allocate a salary to yourself. Even if it's 5 million naira, you're paying yourself a salary every month. Allocate a salary to yourself. All right. So that way you know that, okay, this is what I'm paying myself every month. And you also be treated as one of the staff of the school or one of the employees of the school. So you get your salary every month and that's it. So it's not like and once you've collected your salary every month, you can then spend it anyhow you like. So allocate a salary to yourself that you know that the business can take. Even if it's 5 million, if the school can pay you 5 million, then why not? Allocate it to yourself. Okay. Um, then the second mistake is underpricing tuition without real cost analysis. So you need to go and look at the two analysis that we talked about, your real cost income analysis and your cash flow, and you need to look at them. And also your student teacher ratio, you need to look at them. You may need to increase your school fees. Maybe you've just been running the charity all this while. You may need to increase your school fees. You may need to cut down on some costs. The analysis will reveal that to you. Some schools also do not have any record keeping, or they have poor record keeping. So you need to fix that too. You also need to pay taxes and statutory payments so that you don't when maybe the taxman or some regulatory bodies, when they come, they don't close down the school. So don't make that financial mistake. So, and also you need to have an emergency fund as a school. So, like I said, that fund will be kept separately. You need to be adding some money to it every month. All right, adding some money to it every month, so that if there is a particular month that you're not able to, like, you don't have enough income to pay the obligation, fulfill your financial obligation for that month, you'll be able to then you'll be able to use the account, the funds in that emergency fund to buffer whatever you need, and then you can pay it back. You need to have that emergency funds, very important. Then, how do you fix these mistakes that we've talked about? Like I said, you need to pay yourself a salary. All right, don't treat your school as a cash box where, okay, a parent paid some school fees that came in today was 3.5 million naira. You've taken 1 million naira and just go and do the remake. Don't do that. Except if that 1 million naira is part of your salary. So if you do that, you won't be able to track how much you're taking. You just be taking money from the business anyhow you like. You don't want to do that. You want to allocate a salary to yourself. Then you need to
Hello, is it my network or yours? I can't hear you.
Okay.
Yes, welcome back.
Thank you very much. So I think did it capture the last parts of the presentation?
Yes, yes. You were
Oh,
talking about the common mistakes. So, and you talked about taxes, you talked about
oh,
uh
okay.
uh yeah, so you were talking about the common mistakes.
So let me wrap it up. Okay, so we've talked about the top mistakes. So now, how do you avoid these mistakes? Number one is to pay yourself a salary. You need to pay yourself a salary, like I said before. You need to allocate a salary to yourself. Don't just make it okay. You need 50K today. You pick it from the school account. You need 100K tomorrow. You pick it from the school account. All right. That way, you won't be able to track how much is going into whether the accounts and every other thing. You won't be able to track it. So you need to earmark a particular uh, percentage of income or a particular salary for yourself. Okay, you need to do that. Then you need to use accounting tools, basic accounting tools, um, or even professional accounting tools to track all your school's financials and bookkeeping. Probably even hire an accountant. So that way, there are tiny details about your financials that you might not be aware of before that will become obvious to you. So if you can, use an accounting tool, you can use. There are a lot of Excel templates that will help you track how money is coming in, how it's going out. You also need to do regular financial review, maybe every month, every term, every session. And also, you need to hire a consultant to help you look at things that you might not have expertise in. All right. So this is where we'll be stopping. Thank you so much for having me. And my name is Riwana Kayawali. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really, really insightful. Every statement you made was very important, and I'm super happy that we're able to do this, right? Because for schools to really to grow, to be profitable, to be sustainable, there needs to be the right knowledge and application of finance. And thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Rewa. We're very happy. Now, just before we wrap up today's session, please, your questions, you can drop your questions in the WhatsApp community so I can see it easily and read it loud and clear to our facilitator. Right, I'm here. I can see all your questions, so please keep them coming in. Okay, and yes, Mr. Rao mentioned something very important that um, to avoid some mistakes, right? To avoid some mistakes, probably you could spend 500,000 naira, 100,000 naira to avoid a mistake that could cost you 5 million naira, 10 million naira, right? So taking the wiser decision is always the best. And on this journey of you having a profitable and sustainable school, truth is you cannot do it alone. You need a team of professionals. I mentioned, I think, was that on day one or day two, that you need your advisory board, which I by now, please, if you're a school owner and you are still the loan hero, ensure that you don't start September 2025 with that loan hero syndrome. Please drop that and be accountable to a team of professionals. So you and on your professional team, that is your advisory board team, ensure you have a finance expert, an education expert, someone from HR, someone from marketing. You need those diverse niches that are really helpful for growing and scaling your school. And it mentioned something that you need, you really need someone, you really need expertise of professionals sometimes to help you. And we do financial audit, yes. Sometimes you may need someone to help you with financial audit or even the total school audit. And the auditing will help assess this current needs. What are the current challenges? What are the current needs? What do you need to do to grow, to scale, to be profitable? Part of the services we offer at Growth Master Global Consultants, we offer one-to-one advisory for clients who want private consultation sessions where we listen to clients, we hear you out, we listen to you, right? Quite before your session, we will have sent you some questions to give us a background knowledge of what your school is like. We listen to you, and from the feedback we have from you and from our own assessment, we walk you through a path of profitability and sustainability. And we do this every Wednesday weekly. So you could join us at our physical office for a consultation or virtually. So just reach out, we'll follow through with this, and it's very affordable. Right now we have some services that we deliberately make very affordable, including this training here. This sustainability blueprint, we are offering it free. You're only paying a very, token for resources and certificates. For everyone who knows some of our services, we know they know that there are some services we just deliberately, intentionally run on very affordable rate, probably just because we look at the large pool of people who are in need of it, right? And then we have our real services that give us what we want. So, and part of the services we offer as well is quality assurance. Quality assurance, and for that quality assurance, it's a whole total package for schools where we help you with teachers appraisal, teachers development, staff development, non-teaching staff. We do a lot of auditing, we do a lot of data collection. We also do a lot of providing advice on policy formulation, implementation support, and everything. So just feel free to reach out to us as we deep dive into. Right now, we have 5 more sessions to go after today. So just keep engaging, right? Don't assume that school growth is one magic thing that can happen overnight. You put in the work, and this is why if you look at how we have structured the sustainability blueprint, from mindset to value proposition to finance, for financial knowledge. Tomorrow we're going into systems and SOPs. These are very important if you're going to grow your school, if you're going to really make it profitable and sustainable. We won't promise you magic that, okay, just start something and build and have a large crowd that you cannot really sustain. Maybe a large crowd of debtors. No, we won't train you that way. So just uh session yesterday on value proposition canvas, right? So please, your questions on finance before we start, everyone goes. Your question on finance. Let's take your questions on finance. We have a few minutes before the end of today's session. Mrs. Adeniji, any question from you? Mrs. Yusuf, um, yeah, Giving Tree Schools is one of your students in BPA. So Your questions. Let me see. Let me see the other names here. Okay, I don't know if Mrs. Oyelade is able to join us today. Mama, do you have questions for us? God's Glory Nursery and Primary School. Questions from you, Mr. Tanimo. I'm trying to recollect some names. There are quite a number of people. Okay. In the community, there are 80 schools. So if you have some questions, Cedar Oaks, Gentle Pearl, yeah, I see you were online, you were following earlier. So questions, Great Kids Academy, Guided Treasures, everyone, if you have questions, just drop it in the chat section so I can read out now before Mr. Ridwan. Uh, Please, how can we use our mobile app as an accounting tool? Okay, that's a question from Mrs. Yusuf. How can we use? So probably she'll need suggestions on mobile apps that are easy to use for accounting. So over to you. You're muted. Your video is muted and your audio. Please unmute. Okay, while waiting for Mr. Iwan to respond to that, Mr. Ariman, please unmute your audio and video. There's a question here on the mobile apps to use as accounting tool. So I think this particular participants would really need help on easy to use tools, probably the ones that can do daily financial tracking, and then the ones that can do the long term work, like the ones they can use probably for to analyze break even and some other ones. Okay, more questions, more questions. While waiting for Mr. Rowan, more questions. Tools that I use that are really helpful. The first one is Invoice Manager. Invoice Manager. If I have sent you an invoice for books at any time, trust me, I just used a tool called Invoice Manager. With that Invoice Manager, I can I can always prepare a quick invoice, prepare a receipt. Also indicate in the Invoice Manager if I had received payment for that particular invoice raised. and I share the invoice and I share via as PayPal monthly. It's really affordable. The question is affordable. Question is also still at 500 naira monthly. I am aware ridiculous. There is still affordable. And let me I'll share with everyone. I think it's 5,000 naira or something very affordable for business leaders. I mean SMEs that are not part of the Faith Foundation family. But for me and a few of us who are Faith alumni members, we can actually access that to free. I'll check. There are two tools because one was actually for financial tracking. Yes, one financial tracking. The other is, I think maybe business growth or something. I'll check and see how I can share that with you. So those are some of the easy to use, tools out there. So, but I believe once we can have more suggestions from Mr. Rima, but unfortunately his network is malfunctioning. Sorry, we are in this part of the world where we have to deal with network issues. Okay, so ask your questions. Ask your questions. He's still with us. He's still with us. Just that his network is acting up. The network connection at his end is poor. So, your questions. Take maximize all the lessons you can get from Mr. Rima. Maximize Okay, so I'm back. The network this morning is not having it funny. Come on. I used my backup network this morning, yet it threw me out. Wow. Okay, so let me start one in. So the question about there are two questions here. Um yes, from the Giving Trade School. Some things sometimes okay, sometimes in local schools we have people who owe us till next session. So let me just share with you something quickly, something we do to ensure you don't have bills piling up to the following term or to the following session. Listen, either low cost, medium, or international school, you need to collect your money and you need to collect them promptly, right? So for low cost schools, let's say the target customers are low income earners or daily earners or whichever name you want to call them. First, have a fee policy that is clearly communicated to all parents at the time of admission. So now that you're, of course, they are in already, so you need to craft the fee policy that is suitable for your business and suitable for the kind of target customers you're serving. So for low income schools, having 40%. Okay, Mr. Rayman is back. So for low cost schools, yeah, welcome back.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Yeah, so there was a question about low cost schools, how to ensure fees compliance in low cost schools. That sometimes they have customers whose bills, keep piling up till the following term, the following session. So I want to answer that quickly, and then you give us the professional advice, and then there's another question as well. So on the fee payment compliance, I repeat that either you're a local school or medium or international, you can always ensure prompt payment of fees. You can always ensure prompt payment of fees because this is part of the key things that will make your school sustainable. Remember, I shared a very painful experience on Monday. If you missed that, I don't know. So number one thing is ensure you have a fee payment policy that is clearly communicated, right? It is not about you having a document somewhere on your table or your admin office that no one knows about, right? A fee payment policy that parents are aware of, teachers are aware, students are even aware, right? So for low cost, you can decide to have a commitment fee of maybe 20% or 40% before resumption. What that does for you, what you mean by that is, okay, before you come into the school for a new term, or at most at the first week of the new term, there must be a commitment fee. You can look at your fees, how much is feasible for your business and for your target customers. Something that it doesn't have to be like you really want to break their neck, and you're also not breaking the bones of the school as well. So either we've done 40% with most of our clients and it was fine, right? So I advise 40%, but you understand your school better than me right here because I don't know what this particular situation is. Then if you have ensured a commitment fee in the first week, by the third week, let's say you collected 40% in first week before resumption till you give a deadline of Friday of the first week, then by the third week or end of fourth week, either end of third week or end of fourth week, ensure you have another 30%. Let's say your school fees, if it's a low cost, maybe let's assume it's 30,000 naira. Okay, so if you collected 40% of 30,000 naira before the term or in the first week, you collect another 30% by the end of third week or by the end of fourth week. Then the remaining 30% should be by the week before you start your test. Let's say you're starting your midterm test in week 7. So by the end of week 6, the remaining 30% should come in. And this fee structure should be clearly communicated. In fact, when you are writing your bill, when you are sending bill, let's say you've already written that okay, the bill for next term is 45,000 naira. Please clearly using that payment structure, tell them that 40%, give the date that they must at least pay that 40%, put the date and the amount of that 40%. Don't assume that parents will be calculating on your behalf. No money is not easy to the point that they will not start calculating how much they want to pay you. So do the calculation and state that in your bill. Also, the 30%, when they are expected to pay it, how much it is. The last 30%, when they are to pay, how much is it? Make sure you write it. Because the goal is that you're able to have your fees before midterm break. Because one thing is, if a child is in school for 7 weeks, then writes the test, and probably during the test week, that's when you say you send them home because you want to really shakara them that if they don't pay, they won't write test. I tell my clients, if or our clients, sorry, don't let my directors come and cut off my neck. So I tell our clients, if you are waiting for tests or exams to do school fees drive or something, if I were the type of parent that is really, really a bad debtor, I wouldn't feel threatened by the test and exam. That's the truth. Because the real work, you have done it. If the real work is my child has learned. So either you assess tests and exam, they are just assessment, they are just evaluations. It's not like anyone is using the results for anything really, really substantial, really, really standard. So if learning is what you're charging for, ensure that the fees come in by that end of seventh week before the test. Sorry, end of sixth week. Now the exemptions to the rule, probably a family is in financial crisis, the breadwinner, they lose the breadwinner. Some there are really, really times that there are really genuine reasons, right? So what you do in case of those genuine reasons is draw an agreement statement. Okay, so if a parent says, "Oh, I can't meet up with 40% in this first week due to so reason," and you can confirm that it's not a sub story, it's a real one, then let them give you a time. Agree within the management and the school a time that is really good, a time that does not exceed the term itself, so that they're able to promise, "Oh, we will pay by the end of July, by the end of June, by the end of so period," and then you have it written, they sign, you sign. So anytime you want to send a reminder, probably a week to that deadline or 3 days to that deadline, "Oh, dear Mrs. A, please be reminded of this, and then you state it. Because sometimes when schools complain that they are not collecting their fees on time, it's the way you even ask for it. Some of you don't send specific bills to each families. You don't send specific reminders. You just send general reminders, and then general reminders don't work for real original debtors. If you really want your money, dear Mr. and Mrs. Adesanya, please be reminded that your child ABC has state the amount and tell us okay, the timeline to paying that fee. The time we did that for some of our clients, come and see how the money we're rolling in it. So because the parents will feel like, oh, this school, they are really aware of their financials. But if you just send general statements, it's general. No one will really take it serious except the really people who are intentional about their children's learning. So let me stop here. Sorry, I'm a teacher, so I talk more than Mr. Rewan. Okay, so um addition from you, probably some ideas on how they can ensure, at least minimize bad debts to at least stay on the course, right?
Yeah. So I think a good way is to I think more schools need to start implementing not to wait till maybe the first month of resumption and all that before you start collecting money. So my kids at school, they started this term. I told you, I said during the presentation that I paid during the holidays. So apparently, probably maybe a few other parents to also like pay some of their fees during the holidays. So as a matter of rule now, the school is now saying you need to have paid at least 50% of fees before even resumption, before they even allow your kids to resume, right? So that way, they know that 100% of the parents will not comply. But even if it's 30% of parents that comply, that pay, even if it's even 30%, let's not even say 50% of fees, that gives the school a lot of runway to start the term, to plan ahead, to pay fees and all that. So also by the end of maybe the first month, when the kids are doing their first CA test, instead of this school to start getting the first kobo in, they are just pushing up on the balance. So, and by the second month, they are all the money is already in. So I think school owners need to re-strategize in terms of how they collect their money. All right, in terms of how they collect their money. Um, and also they you may also want to like hire someone that whose job will be to like follow up, because it's all about follow up. You need to stay top of mind of the parents. That money that you want to collect, people's salaries and incomes are fixed, so you need to let them plan their kids school fees, which is your own income, into their salary. If you don't stay top of their mind, they would keep they say, let me maybe school has not started disturbing. Let's push it till next month. So maybe hiring someone who is the collection officer who will fraternize with the parents, who will go and greet them in their market if possible, who will keep track might help, because most schools don't have a special person for that. You may also want to like consult that out to maybe someone like Mrs. Zainab and his team to do that for you, or help you strategize on how to efficiently collect your fees. So I think that will help. What's the next question so that we can wrap up?
Okay, so the next question here is that what can a school do in the case where they have followed all these financial tips and they see that they are undercharging, so and they see there is a need to increase their fees if they don't want to continue running at a loss, yet they have the fear of losing pupils if they just increase it like that. Let's say they're charging 25,000 naira. When they do the calculations, it's showing maybe 40,000 naira. That's like 15,000 naira increment. How can the school go about it without probably not losing the pupils and still getting the money?
Oh, okay. So number one, you need to run your numbers very well. Uh, so let's say you have 100 pupils that are currently paying you 25,000 naira. Increasing your fees to 40,000 naira, even if let's say 25 of those pupils leave, you might still end up making more money with the 75 students that are paying for 40,000 naira than having 100 students that are paying you 25,000 naira. I don't know if you understand, because now you have lesser students, but they are paying more. So that will be more income for you. So another thing also is to probably call the parents, maybe not just send a text. You can call a meeting and let them see that. See, when my own kids' school were going to increase the fees, they called us and say, look at the cost of expenses and so on and so on forth, running the school, and also the fact that they show us the pay slips of some of the staff that they had to increase salaries across board because the cost of transportation of staff of their teachers even to school is now higher, like triple. So and so on and so forth. That if they need if, and they want to maintain quality, and everybody understands, right? You buy food, it's more expensive. You buy every other thing, is more expensive. You don't expect like school fees to stay. So if you plead to their, sense of understanding, it's very likely, there is a high chance that they will understand, right? And even if some of them leave, at least you have people that will now pay a higher distance, and then you can then increase your marketing, with the excess cash that you have to increase enrollment. So I think that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful. So remember, we said you take data-driven decisions, not just emotion. And if you really look at your numbers, what your number is saying is what you should do. So though sometimes what some schools do is, as schools are resuming for September, they may just have a slight increment because in September there are other expenses like books, stationery, uniform that parents may want to buy, and parents can sometimes find it difficult to adjust. If let's say you're adding 15,000 naira to tuition and they still need to buy books and everything, so sometimes schools mostly push up this to second term. The real additions, they really push it up to and then if you really have a good communication with your school community, if you're really very good, you are really flowing together, I think there is no time in the session that you really cannot increase, depending on the kind of school community that you have nurtured so far, the parent school relationship you currently have existing. So thank you for joining us. Your other questions, you can always drop them in the chat section in the WhatsApp community so I can respond in due time. Mr. Rewa, we're very happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our participants, to everyone who's watching us live right now. Thank you. And to those who watch the replay, we also say thank you. But our real appreciation will go to those who utilize lessons from these sessions. Those ones they have our real appreciation because we really want to see schools thrive. We want to see your school last for long and continue impacting. So thank you and see you tomorrow for day 4. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.